you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Portrait Letters podcast number 2502. Learn to question everything. Yes, all the best genealogists out there will question everything. It's one of the most valuable skills in genealogy is learning not to accept everything at face value. You got a birth certificate? Is it the real one? Is it the, yep, you question everything. Experienced genealogy researchers learn to question everything, not because we're cynical, because records can be incomplete, inaccurate, or misleading. Yes, a name may be misspelled. I've got 27 variations on how to spell my mother-in-law's maiden name. 27! Because the name was misspelled somewhere along through all the records and everything, through history, it was misspelled. We found the misspellings. We then verified that was the right one. An age may change between records. You might have two census reports and you think you've got the same families, but check the ages. Are they 10 years on from what they were last time? Or, as I found in one case, there was a 14-year difference. Which one was correct? Were they still the same family? Question everything. A census entry may contain incorrect information. It may be misspelled. The names may be misspelled. And I've come across that multiple times. It could be that they are listed in the wrong house number. It could be that the relationships between the head of the house may be incorrect. I've seen one where they had a daughter mentioned who was like 14 years younger than everybody else in the family. And it turned out it was a granddaughter. Yeah, so question everything. A family story may have shifted over generations. We know this. We know when oral stories are passed along that they do change. They change every time. Somebody's got to add in their little bit of drama or their little bit of excitement. But family stories do change have shifted over generations. An online family tree may simply repeat someone else's mistake, and I have learned that one the hard way. Back when Ancestry first started, back in, when did they start? It was like 98, 99, 2000, somewhere around there. It was not long after that I found a tree that seemed to fit in with my tree, but I did not question everything. This is back when I was really starting to get serious about genealogy research. Up until that point, I'd been my mum's right-hand person and helping her find records and nut out theories to get. I tell you, sitting down and nutting out theories with my mum is so much fun. It is so much fun. We haven't done that for a while. We're going to have to find a family story that we can sit down and theorize over, because those are always fun. But anyway, so in this particular case is that I found a tree that seemed to fit with mine, but I did not question everything. And when I put the tree in, all of a sudden, this one person had like 17 siblings, and had all of these aunts and uncles, and like all these extra names came in there. And I went through them and I thought, well, half of these are not correct. Because I knew that part of the family inside out and back to front. And I knew that there had been all these extra chores. So I am still, to this day, we're 26 years later or whatever, and I'm still cleaning up that mess. And that's one reason why I keep my tree private, so nobody can copy it, because I don't want them copying any mistakes I made. Good genealogy research requires curiosity and critical thinking. When you can sit down and bounce off theories about what you think happened in a certain situation, that can be it's a really fun thing. Like if you come across somebody and they go, well, do they fit in my tree? And you're like looking at the information, like always constantly, instead of asking, do they fit in my tree, ask different questions. Sometimes the way the questions are, you're asking questions, but you're just not asking the right questions. It's like when you use AI, your response is based on the response you get back is based on the prompt you put in. The better the prompt, the better the response. So when it comes to sitting down and just brainstorming with somebody else on what they think the theory is, and like somebody died mysteriously, or you found somebody's coroner's report, and you're trying to figure out the family dynamics at the time, like who was born and who wasn't. And in one case, I have a second great grandfather who drowned in the river one time. They went in March and they found his body in August. That's all through the winter months. And they put him on the table in the local pub, had the coroner's inquest. One guy was able to identify my second great Yeah, second great grandfather by the boots on his feet because they were made to especially made for him to go around the corns on his feet. Well, that was so cool. My mum and I couldn't stop laughing when we read that. And we were in the National Archives in their old building. I think it was in the Air New Zealand building in Wellington, the old Air New Zealand building. And it was down in the basement. You had like the little windows up the top there. And so not a lot of daylight, a lot of dust and mold and all of that. And, it was that old library smell that I absolutely love. And everybody spoke a whisper on a whisper, and Mum and I just couldn't stop laughing, and we'd get glared at and everything. It was fun. But later on, we were there was things that happened with that family later on, and some of them, there's some big holes in there. So we sat down and theorized about the holes that were in there and what happened during that time, and you can come up with some good stories on that one. But you've got to ask the right questions too. So the questions that you would ask, instead of asking, does this fit my tree? Experienced researchers ask, how do I know this is correct? What evidence do I have that supports it? Could there be another explanation? What records are missing? Does the timeline actually make sense? And am I following facts or assumptions? When you change the question, the brain flips into a different gear, a different mode. It is like turning around and saying, I am losing weight, I have lost weight. Your brain's going to go, oh, we've lost weight, we've got to go find it. We lose something, we have to find it. Instead of turning around and saying, I have released weight. And the brain turns around and goes, excellent, we don't need that anymore. It's been released. We're gone. We don't have to, nope, it's not lost. We don't have to go looking for it. Thanks, guys. Type of thing. So, and when somebody's talking about their, even about their business, their research, everything else, and instead of sitting there going, well, I can't do that, flip it around and go, how can I do that? How can I make that work for my business? Your brain flips into a different gear, and all of a sudden you've got ideas coming from different directions that you wouldn't have had you asked the boring question of, I can't do that. Instead, turn around and say, how can I make that work for my business, for my personal life, whatever? And you'll be surprised at what starts showing up for you in those areas. So genealogy is a lot like that. It's how you are, what questions are you asking? Sometimes the smallest detail can completely change the direction of research. It could be a witness signature. And a few episodes ago, we looked at signatures on marriage certificates and things, and how you can find out, who are they? It could be a neighbour's surname. You're doing your due diligence. You've got your census report. Who lived in the house next door on either side of them? And you see a surname and go, hang on, why is that surname familiar? And you go and you research. It's like when we were doing this particular exercise, looking at a census report for a family that we were given the details of the family. We had to go find them in the census report. And I'm busy there, I'm looking at the thing. And like I have been taught over the years, always look who was in the houses next door, either side of them, and who was across the road. So I'm looking at the house next door going, here's my main family. I'm looking at the house above, which is next door. And I'm looking at it and going, I know that surname. Why do I know that surname? So I opened up my tree. I went searching on that, and it was a family I'd been looking for. It was part of Brad's paternal family that I had been looking for and hadn't been able to find. And here they were right there next door to this one that we were looking at for our case study. And I was like super excited. So I get into the thing about our case study, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I was looking at this. I looked at the people next door on either side of them, as I usually do. And I found these relatives of my late husband's that I've been looking for. And one of the facilitators comes and said, this is not the room for this discussion. Please move this discussion to the general discussion. Spelling variations. If you stick to your exact spelling, you are missing out on a whole bunch of stuff. When it comes to spelling things, it could be if the people didn't even know how to spell their own name, they can't communicate that information to an enumerator, a clerk, or whatever, whoever is or the recorder of the information. So it could be that whoever is recording the information is having to spell it how it sounds to them. And when you've got accents to take into account, back in the 1800s, when you had a lot of immigrants come, well, even today, when you have a lot of immigrants coming in, and you've got accents coming into play with how things sound, you can get different spelling variations. This is why be open to looking at other variations of spelling, because they could be there. You just not look. It could be, and like what happened with this one is one of the names was spelt incorrectly, which is why I hadn't been able to find it, because that was the person I was looking for, but I hadn't been able to find them because their name had been spelled incorrectly. But the last name had been spelled correctly. It's just their first name had not been spelled correctly. So look for different spelling, but be open to looking for spelling variations. It could be an unexpected location. It could be that during a census, during the census report on the date of the, like if the census was held on the, say, the 15th of April in 1910, and you were not in your house in 1910, you were off visiting Auntie Sue and Uncle Jim over here, and you were in their place, you're going to be counted on their census report. So it could be that if you find them, if you can't find them in their own location, where did some of their other family members live? Maybe they would have been visiting. They could have been traveling. You never know. You may find unexpected locations. And remember that genealogy is not just about collecting names. It's about carefully building accurate stories from the evidence left behind. And the best researchers never stop asking questions. And with that, we are out of here. If you want some assistance with helping find some questions, with helping format your questions, the right questions to ask, just come up over here, scan this QR code, and set up a 30-minute discovery call with us, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll be back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konura.